Dusty Crew. Good morning, USA.
Good morning, sports fans. Cam, welcome back to another great episode of Good Morning Sports Fans.
Thank you very much. And the question I have for you this week is, on Sundays, what are your favorite slots for football? 1, 4:25 or 4:05, or the Sunday night football game?
I've always been a 1 o'clock guy. I think getting the early slate out of the way is great because it's most often when you're going to play.
Yeah.
And so you'll be done with football, and then you can go on the rest of your day either watching more football or if you want, you can go outside, take a walk, do whatever else you want.
Yeah, so for me, I'm more of I like 1 o'clock. I like to just chill and watch the games, but only if, so I'd pick Sunday night only if my team is in the Sunday night game because it gives that big game feeling. You're waiting all day for Sunday night.
Yeah. Well, we got a great episode of Good Morning Sports Fans today. We're going to be talking about college football playoffs. We're going to talk about the NFL playoffs. We're going to talk about WWE. They had a recent premiere live event, but we're going to kick it off with the college football weekly recap with Chris, Eric, and Sophia.
Welcome back. This is the final week of the regular season for college football, Division I. And I've had a little bit too much turkey. Still a bit, honestly, a little sore from that. But either way, I'm Chris.
I'm Eric.
I'm Sophia.
And we've got a lot to talk about today, our upstate games, our Heisman predictions, and will you be ready for the playoffs? Now, Sophia, what was your upset game of Week 14?
My upset game was unranked Michigan being previously ranked number 2 Ohio State. The Wolverines came out top in a low-scoring 13-10 final score game. This win gave them the 4th straight in the rivalry. The game was tied 10-10 with under a minute remaining when Michigan scored the game-winning 21-yard field goal, which is the same number of points that the Buckeyes were favored by entering into the game, the widest spread the rivalry has seen in over 40 years. Frustration came out at the end in a brawl that resulted in both teams being fined $100,000. But Michigan will go on to play in a minor bowl game while the Buckeyes await the final playoff rankings.
Now, Sophia, I ask you, is the Ryan Day era over at Ohio State?
I think it might be.
I mean, you got to say, like, the game is what you coach Ohio State for. People hate it that's all they focus on, but obviously Michigan's season, while albeit probably a failure in their eyes, they won the rivalry game. That's all they really care about. They won their Super Bowl. Then I'm going to move into my upset game. I got South Carolina, number 15 in the country, beating number 12 Clemson on the road. This has been a series the last 5 years where only the road team has really won, and South Carolina keeps the streak alive. Cade Klubnik throws an interception in the red zone on a game-winning drive. Honoris Sellers had 160 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. He looked like Ashton Genty out there. I mean, he made 18 missed tackles. He forced 18 missed tackles, second most of any player of the season. You know who's first? Mr. Ashton Genty. So he ran like a running back out there, and they kept their playoff hopes alive. We'll see how it all shakes out. And then they also kind of secured themselves a New Year's Six bowl. They're going to go to a good bowl game. And now Clemson, they make the ACC championship game, but with a deflating loss in the rivalry week right before a big game against SMU.
I'm almost curious, Eric, what would you rate Clemson's season so far this year and Dabo Swinney? I mean, they got destroyed Week 1 against Georgia. Now they are playing in an ACC championship game. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been a roller coaster. And I saw a quote, he was talking about profit sharing or something with NIL. So maybe he's holding out for when they get a little bit more money to spend on recruiting. But right now, they're kind of just a roller coaster every year. And if they can win the ACC, the new playoff format, fits their strength. But the ACC is getting stronger.
Yeah. Well, speaking of also helping Clemson, my upset game in the week was Syracuse beating number 6 Miami, and that's why I'm wearing this amazing jersey today. It was Syracuse's first top 10 AP win since 2017, and the Orange now finishes the year 9-3, their best season since 2018. Woohoo! And they're now ranked, and they've actually had 3, or I could say there's a 3rd ranked win this year: UNLV and Georgia Tech. Now for Miami, it's a little bit disappointing. Who knows? Are we going to make the CFP? We don't know. Their odds are just honestly in jeopardy, right? And I think the main key was just their defense, too. They're giving up Miami's defense is giving up 25 points per game. And I'm just going to read you some of the opponents, right, that they've given up. They've allowed 28 to Georgia Tech, Duke 31, Virginia Tech 34, Cal 38, Syracuse 42, Louisville 45. Too many points they're giving up. Now, my Heisman prediction, Colorado is going to be Travis Hunter. I mean, what else can you really say?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of our unanimous pick here at the table today between all three of us. It's Travis Hunter. He's kind of top 5 in 2 different positions. He's second or third in the nation, tied for third in the nation for interceptions. He's 5th in receiving yards, 6th in yards per game, 2nd in receiving touchdowns, and it doesn't seem like he's going to slow down anytime soon. He can play the whole game. You know, I saw a video. He had all these crazy recovery processes. I don't even think he practices with the team most weeks, but he still just goes out there and he balls out. And Colorado, while disappointing end of their season, they were in the mix for a lot of the year. So I think you got to give it to him. I mean, unless Genty, if he breaks the record, that's pretty impressive. And then you get Dylan Gabriel leading an undefeated team. But I think it's time we shy away from the quarterback award and, you know, get a little crazy with it.
Yep. Well, we're going to find out what happens next time. This is for Chris.
Sophia.
And Eric.
And this is Week 14 of College Football Players. And we'll pass it off to Jake, Joe, Ryan with CFP predictions.
Hello, everyone. We've got a wild segment as we welcome you back to the College Football Playoff Prediction Show. Alongside Ryan Croak and Joe Plotchik, I'm Jake Bowen. Guys, we've got our brackets and we've got some surprises. Ryan, who are you gifting your final spot to?
Got to be Alabama. The committee's job is to pick the best teams to get into the final stage, the college football playoff, the biggest stage of them all. Alabama, while they've been inconsistent, they've been on the naughty list, but they're the best team on the bubble. They've got to be the team that gets in.
You know, I have to agree with Ryan. I do think Bama will sneak in. However, I do think South Carolina is the hottest team out of the 3. But with head-to-head losses against Ole Miss and Bama, they just can't get in. But then you take a look at Ole Miss, who I think is the team that deserves to be in. The Rebels have impressive 3-score wins over South Carolina and Georgia compared to Bama's wins over those 2 teams, only 1 score each. But ultimately, I think the Crimson Tide will get the nod because they have the highest ceiling and the committee has favored them in placement so far.
Well, you two are clearly getting cold for Christmas because Ole Miss is on the nice list. They're currently ranked 14th, but with the loss of Miami and Clemson, I think they're going to move into that playoff picture. Their best wins are against Georgia and South Carolina, both potential playoff teams, and I think because of that, they'll slip in. And to our viewers, Joel, that may come as a surprise for some. What's another surprise you have for us?
I have Texas exceeding expectations and Georgia falling short. So let me set the scene here. In the SEC Championship, I have the Bulldogs defeating the Longhorns for the 2nd time this season. But in the playoffs, I think Quinn Ewers will pass out some coal and some touchdowns to the Georgia defense. And I think they'll get the win in the 3rd matchup.
Yeah, well, that's crazy. 3 times in the same year, and Texas loses the first 2 but wins the big one in the playoff. I like you. I like the way you think, but here's how I'm thinking about this. How about a bubble team making it all the way to the national championship? I got Alabama surpassing expectations wildly. I think they sneak in, they do their job. Kalen DeBoer got some experience there last year, made it all the way to the national championship, came up short against Michigan. I trust him to get his guys locked in. I know they've been inconsistent, but I think they stamp those issues out and make a wild run. And as for a team that's going to fall short, I got Tennessee. I'm not impressed by them at all. I know they beat Alabama, but as I've said, Bama's been inconsistent. Tennessee doesn't really strike me as a team that's going to hold their own. I think they get blitzed by Ohio State and Rocky Top.
Well, my team might not win a game, but they're in, and that's all that matters. I'm going with the Clemson Tigers at the 12 seed winners of the ACC championship game. I think SMU in their first time in the ACC this year. They've had a good season, haven't played anyone amazing, but Clemson, they have the resume, they have the experience, they have the coaching, and Cabe Klubnik is playing great this season. By the way, the game's in Charlotte. That's a home game for Clemson. So I see we have our brackets here. Ryan, who's your champion?
Well, it's a team I picked at the start of the year. It's a team I picked a couple weeks ago. It's a team I'm sticking with right now. It's the Oregon Ducks, the only undefeated team in the nation remaining that's in the top 25. It's going to be in the playoff picture. They're going to win the Big Ten title game without much of a challenge against Joel's Nittany Lions. They're going to beat Alabama 31-20. No reason to doubt the Ducks. They've been phenomenal all year. They're going to continue it going into the final stage.
You know, first I want to say I respect picking the Ducks, an undefeated regular season record. They had the least doubt surrounding them. In terms of my pick, my thoughts have been all over the place this year, but I'm going to my surprise team. Give me the Texas Longhorns defeating the Oregon Ducks 28-27 in the national championship. I think Steve Sarkisian will have a great start to a new year.
Well, I'll be quick. 3 letters. UGA. The Georgia Bulldogs are going on top once again. They're not only going to beat your Longhorns in the SEC championship game, but they're going to also beat them in round 1. Kirby Smart, Carson Beck, a little shaky, but I think his defense is going to really help him and put him in better spots and give him more confidence to play at his best. We will see what the committee decides. An exciting conference championship weekend, nevertheless.
Time out. You know who's not going to be in the playoff, and it's a team I've been talking about all season. I just want to take my quick little victory lap. Where's Miami? Oh, I don't see them. They're gone. Get them out of here. They are nowhere to be found, rightfully so. Bunch of frauds. Lost this weekend to Syracuse. Shout out to my sister. Predicted the score right on the money, 42-38 Syracuse.
The Hurricanes have looked like a natural disaster this season. Let's send it to Stacy, Teddy, and Tommy for NBA season update.
Thanks, fellas. We're here with an NBA recap for you. We're about a quarter of the way into the season. Some teams that started off hot are slipping, and some teams that did not start off so well are picking up the heat. My name is Teddy Caputo.
I'm Stacey Carter II.
Tommy Rooney.
And we're here to talk about the NBA. So, guys, who's that team you're keeping your eyes on as we go forth through the season? We'll start with you, Stacey.
Speaking of team that's getting hot, the Orlando Magic won
Okay.
12 out of their last 13, including a 6-game winning streak. They was winning while we was on Thanksgiving break. They doing it all without Paolo Banchero, who's out with an injury and only has played 5 games total this year. There's no timetable for him to return, but for them to go on this winning streak like this is very impressive. Without their leading scorer, who was averaging 29 points per game before he went out with injury, they're ranked first overall in defensive scoring, only allow 102 points per game. And their head coach, Jamal Mosley, is doing a great job each year. This is his 4th year. Each year he has improved in the win total, and they're on pace for 50 games. I think they can probably go on a Knicks-type run in the playoffs this year, probably win a round or 2. They got size on their team. Franz Wagner is doing a great job. I will say they need point guard help. They don't have a true point guard on their team. It seemed like they kind of soured on Cole Anthony. Elfrid Payton just got released, so that could be somebody that can go after.
Which I'm really surprised. He just had that 21 assist game too. Like, what's going on there? But yeah, we got to keep our eyes on the Magic. Tommy, what about you?
All right, well, I'm taking it a different way. A team that I'm watching out for that's doing a lot worse than they should be is Minnesota Timberwolves. This team was in the Western Conference Finals last year. They made a huge move in the offseason, getting rid of Cat, brought in Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. It has not worked out thus far. So just some data. They are averaging 115 points per possession, 100 possessions allowed when Julius Randle is on the floor, and 10 points less when he is off the floor. So they're struggling on defense when he's on the floor, basically. Dante DiVincenzo is shooting 33% from deep. He was shooting 40% last year for the Knicks, so he's not working out as well either. And this team is still, trying to figure it out, but a lot of rumors are circulating that they might try to move Julius Randle at the deadline after just getting him.
That's crazy.
It isn't working out so far. A lot of people think that maybe it was a cap decision because Cat had a huge $60 million cap hit. But I don't know what you're necessarily going to get in return for Julius Randle at this point that would put you back in that Western Conference conversation. They're on pace right now for 42 wins. Last year, they had 56 wins. Like I said, went on a little bit of a deep playoff run. So they've been disappointing this year, and they're already over the second apron of the new CBA cap rules. So they would probably have to trade Julius Randle in order to bring in a bigger superstar that would have that cap number. So things aren't looking good right now. One move that I would, say might help the team, Brooklyn Nets are apparently trading their whole team. Cam Johnson and Dennis Schroeder for Julius Randle, that might be a move that they look out for. I don't know if that's going to get them the Western Conference Finals, though.
No, and I don't think those two players are of the caliber of Cat.
Definitely
to
not.
try to replace Cat in that sense.
Or what about going after Brandon Ingram?
I think that Brandon Ingram's definitely a bigger name. I don't know if the fit would work as well with that core, but maybe. I just don't. It just looks bad that they traded Cat for Julius Randle at this point because it's not working out so far. I don't think you're going to get anything as good as Cat.
Yeah, and there's been not great communication with the team as well, especially with offensive and defensive schemes. The team I'm looking out for, they were 6-7 just a few weeks ago, and now they're 13-9. They're 6th in the Western Conference. The Los Angeles Clippers, they let Paul George go this offseason. He's now in the Sixers, who are really struggling, unfortunately. But Norman Powell has really stepped up in Paul George's absence, saying that he feels a lot freer in his game to be able to play the way he wants to play. Last year, he was only averaging just under 14 points a game. Now he's averaging close to 24 points a game. He's shooting 49.2% from the field and almost 50% from three. So he's really lighting it up. James Harden is really playing like a true point guard and just got on the 3,000 three-point list with Steph Curry. So he's really balling out. The pick and roll game with Derrick Jones Jr. and Ivica Zubac is really working out. And this is all without Kawhi Leonard. It'll be really exciting to see what will happen when they add Kawhi back into the lineup. Some key guys have been stepping up, role players, Jordan Miller, Terrence Mann, even Nick Batum, who's a veteran, is really helping the young guys on that team. And they're really good with rebounding the ball, especially not allowing offensive rebounds. That is how you win games later in the season. So let's keep our eyes on the Clippers, also on the Magic, also on the Wolves, and let's see how the rest of this season turns out. But thank you guys for joining us. We're going to throw it to Thomas and Ian for a WWE recap.
Thanks, guys. So we just finished Survivor Series 2024, and coming off of Survivor Series 2023, it had high expectations. CM Punk returned last year, but it was a pretty good PLE. I mean, starting off with the Women's War Games, what were your thoughts on it, Ian?
Well, the whole build up to this match, I wasn't really feeling it. The teams were stupid. Rhea Ripley returns to lead the Women's War Games team for some reason, and it's all about the Liv Rhea feud. But the match really delivered on the match standpoint. I definitely don't think that the faces should have won this match. But I think everyone agrees with that, so I'm not gonna tread on it too much here. But there were some great spots. I mean, the double moonsault off the cage with Io Sky in a trash can.
That was my standout moment from that match.
That might be the standout moment of the night, even.
Really?
I mean, to me, that's probably what I'll think of when I think of this pay-per-view.
Honestly, I think of something else when I think of this PLE, and that's the next match actually, which is Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight. The most unexpected result ever, to me anyways. I mean, I did not expect Shinsuke Nakamura to take the title off of LA Knight so quickly.
I mean, not for me. I really felt like if Shinsuke dropped this match, then it'd be kind of, then what was the point? Then what was the point? But I'm sure this will be a great little mini feud for LA Knight. I wouldn't be surprised if he came out the other end with the title again. But as it stands right now, that was a great match, and I'm just glad to see that Shinsuke's back, really.
I love the new Shinsuke Nakamura approach. I like the cursed samurai kind of thing. I like the new theme that he has.
I don't like his new theme.
Really?
They changed it again at Bad Blood. It was Survivor Series.
It was still good.
I don't like it.
It's not as good as the original. We'll never get something as good as the original, but I still liked it. I thought it was good. He was wearing the samurai mask, and he looks like Anakin Skywalker. I think it's pretty good.
Moving on to the next mid-card belt, the triple threat, Braun Breaker, Ludwig Kaiser, and Sheamus for the Intercontinental
For me, that was the match of the night.
It was so great.
It was really, really good. Did you see that Sheamus actually broke his rib?
Yep,
That's how dedicated he is to getting this Intercontinental for the Grand Slam. And unfortunately, he came up short yet again.
I think they're definitely saving his moment for WrestleMania.
I agree.
I mean, there's no reason it shouldn't be there. And this was a great showing for Braun and an excellent showing for Ludwig Kaiser. I think he's really, really stepping into his own right now as a single star.
I think honestly he could get a WrestleMania spot, whether it be against Sheamus for the Intercontinental or something. I really do see Ludwig Kaiser having this belt at some point or another.
Maybe even against Gunther if he drops that belt.
Maybe even against Gunther. And speaking of Gunther won against Damian Priest.
Hey, with Finn Balor interference, the greatest match.
And hey, this time for Saturday Night Main Event, Damian Priest is going to interfere with Finn Balor and cost him.
And I just can't wait. I love the Judgment Day. I'm not sick of the matches being the same every single time.
Let's save. We could talk about this for hours on that. But let's save it and talk about the main event.
The men's War Games match was awesome. Okay. I know you didn't really get to catch it. There was a lot of great stuff happening. Jey Uso, the final walkout for some reason, which was crazy. Yeah, he was the last guy.
Over CM Punk and Roman?
That's crazy. It was, I think for the OG bloodline, I think it was Sami Zayn maybe? No, Jimmy, Sami, CM Punk, Roman, then Jey.
Okay, but enough about the walkout. How was the actual match? Were there any good spots?
There were some great spots. My favorite part was probably when all the faces did their finishers on Solo Sikoa back to back. That's just. I saw that on Twitter. That was sweet. Incredible. But this match was really made for Jacob Fatu, as every match that he's been in since he's joined the WWE has been. He looked like an absolute monster. No selling everything. He got like beat up by CM Punk for like a minute straight. slammed onto a toolbox and he got back up when CM Punk was looking for the go to sleep and he Samoan dropped him onto the toolbox. And that was just a great
I love
moment.
Jacob Bott too. I love the moment. I did tune back in when they were all walking around the ring and around the arena posing and doing their, acknowledgement, go to sleep pose. It was a great moment to end a great PLE. But that's enough from the Survivor Series recap. We're going to throw it to Ellie.
Thanks, guys. Another long weekend in October. Another fun-filled weekend of football, and we're here to talk about it. Alongside Ellie Gelman, Carson Cass, I'm Leo Schaefer. Guys, any games that stood out to you this weekend? There were a ton of great matchups, but I want to hear your picks. Carson?
We can start with Turkey Day. Had the Bears nearly fell to the Lions. Very close. Led to the firing of Matt Eberflus, Thomas Brown, now their head coach. Later in the day, we had some preview for maybe what would be this Thursday night football with the Packers beating the Dolphins, and the Dolphins now are 0-5 in sub-zero conditions.
That game next Thursday, Packers-Lions, that should be for the division, right?
Should let the Packers go back if they win it. Should cement it for the Lions if they do.
All right, that should be an entertaining Thursday game to watch. First one I've said in a long time on Thursday night. Ellie, what about you?
So when we're talking football, I think one of the best things about football in December is the snow. So let's talk about the Buffalo Bills versus the San Francisco 49ers. Buffalo wins 35-10, and I think Buffalo is my pick for the best team in the NFL. They've clinched the AFC East title. They've won 7 in a row and scored 30-plus points in 6 in a row, led by my pick for MVP right now, Josh Allen. And they played in the snow, and they had some fun in the snow with that lateral. Josh Allen got a passing touchdown and a receiving touchdown on that play to Amari Cooper. And I think they're the most dominant team in the NFL right now, and they clinched the AFC East, and I think they're vying for that AFC number 1 seed. They do have that win over the Chiefs, so let's see if they can get it as the season goes on.
Josh Allen is one of the most dynamic players in the NFL, to your part. He's tall, he can throw, and he can run the football. He can basically do it all, and I'm pretty sure he's a lock for MVP right now at this point after the Ravens showing against the Eagles at home. Carson, what are your thoughts on that?
Actually, I think my MVP is in that game. I think Saquon Barkley deserves it. One of the best running back showings all year in multiple years. You cannot count that guy out of the MVP race. Justin Tucker misses 7 points altogether, 2 field goals and an extra point to lead the Ravens below. He has been off so much this year, to say the least. And I think Saquon Barkley has just been running all over teams and leading the Eagles to the best football. And the Lions, and the Bills are 5-0 in their last games only.
So, Carson, let me ask you this. You think Saquon Barkley, running back who just came to a division rival, new team, better O-line, is going to be the first running back to win MVP since 2015 and basically change the awards trajectory over the next few years?
As a former lineman, that's all I can do is hope. I think Saquon Barkley deserves it. I think he is the most valuable player, and I do understand that the line is better, but the line can't teach what Saquon can do.
While we're on the subject, Ellie, your thoughts for MVP?
Yes, like I said, I think Josh Allen is going to be the MVP right now. He is carrying the Bills to arguably their best season in the past 5 years, where they've been dominant, winning the AFC East every single year. And he's doing it without an unbelievable roster. James Cook is nice, Dalton Kincaid, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, but those aren't fantastic, unbelievable weapons like some of these other MVP candidates and other quarterbacks have. And what I love about him is that he's having fun playing this game. We see they're having a good time in the snow, and you like to see that in a player once in a while. I would like to say that Saquon Barkley is my second pick, and I think that we do need to give more love to non-quarterbacks in the MVP conversation. Saquon Barkley is right there, and if he breaks that rushing record, Eric Dickerson's rushing record, he could come up and win that award for sure.
I will say this, the tri-state area will not be pleased if Barkley wins MVP first year off the Giants. Moving back onto the games, I think game of the week has to be Steelers-Bengals, divisional rivalry, and that was a high-scoring game at 1 p.m. We love those. Carson, Ellie, your thoughts?
Russell Wilson is really good at football, I think, and he is not done. I think Sean Payton was the pairing in Denver, obviously, that I don't think just didn't work out because they weren't the right people for each other. But now that he's in Steeler country, I think he's letting it ride, and I think that Steelers team is for real.
I'm a big Fields guy. I loved Justin Fields when he was on your Chicago Bears. I wanted him to keep starting, but hey, Russell Wilson has definitely proved me wrong, like he's been doing in the past with Seattle. Maybe not with Denver, but let's just stick with Seattle. But thankfully he's doing well. Thankfully the Steelers are doing well. Tomlin's winning season again. He's incredible. Don't know how it can be done.
Never had a losing season.
Never had a losing season. Your thoughts on the game while we have time?
Yeah, I think that Mr. Unlimited Russell Wilson is back. I do want to say I feel really bad for Joe Burrow. He's having an MVP-like season, and if they were in the playoff race, he probably would be the winner of that award. But that defense is just atrocious, and they're not giving him any help right now.
Yeah, there's just not that many weapons on the other side of the ball, especially when Russ is Mr. Unlimited against the defense. Sorry, I had to drop that in there. If he keeps playing like that, who knows how far the Steelers will go in the playoffs. That's all the time we have. We're going to toss it to Mikey, Cedric, and Sydney with playoff predictions.
With 5 games left in the regular season, the NFC and the AFC playoff picture is coming into form. Sydney, what are you thinking?
No, absolutely. I do think that the top 7 teams right now are going to be the top 7 teams to make it into the playoffs. So nothing too original there. But like you said, we still have 5 more weeks of regular season play. And I do think that the specific rankings within those top 7 could change a bit as we move forward.
Yeah, there's some uncertainty for me. So there's uncertainty in the NFC South. I'm not sure who's going to win that division as of yet. I think it's a 2-horse race between the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know, both teams are playing middling football. You know, the same can be said for the NFC West. The Seahawks are in the lead right now. I wouldn't rule out the San Francisco 49ers, and of course the Cardinals and the Rams are right there. So I'm not too sure to call a winner in either of those divisions yet. What I do know is that I am confident about my NFC Championship pick.
Yeah, who's that going to be?
It's going to be a matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles, the top 2 seeds. I am confident about that, Sydney. I mean, Philadelphia, from the second quarter on against the Ravens, they dominated, you know, both sides of the ball. And it was a great win against Baltimore. Probably the final score was closer than it should have been. Garbage time touchdown, 3 seconds left. So be it.
Yeah, speaking of the Detroit Lions and the NFC North, I think what makes the NFC postseason matchups the most interesting is how dominant the NFC North has been all season. Now, even though, let's talk about those top 3 teams in the NFC North who are currently in the top 7 teams of the NFC in general, the Packers, the Lions, and the Vikings. And even though they're ranked 1, 2, and 3, they still have such better records than some other teams in the NFC, like you were mentioning, the Falcons. They may be on the top of their division, but the record's only 6-6, which is much worse than all the NFC North.
At least on the NFC side of the ball, this is not going to be one of those years where you have a surprise 9-8 team making the NFC
I don't
Championship.
think so.
I really don't think so. Honestly, the NFC North is beast right now. They are
Absolutely.
the kings of the NFL. This is the first time since 1935 that 3 teams in one division have 9 or more wins coming into a period this late in the season.
I mean, they're all powerhouse teams as we've seen week and week on, and I really do think that all 3 of them in the NFC North are going to be able to make it far into the postseason because schedule-wise, they may have a few tough opponents here and there. It may come with some fatigue after playing 5 games in a row, but I do think that those top 3 teams are going to show their dominance, going to show their superiority, and it's going to work out.
Here's the thing. Kevin O'Connell is a great coach. I don't know if that translates to playoff wins for Minnesota. I really believe in Detroit. I think they're playing great football. I don't really see anybody beating them. Besides, this is not exactly the right color, but you get the gist. This is the only team right here, the Philadelphia Eagles. That is the only team for me that I think can stop the Detroit Lions in the NFC.
I agree, absolutely.
And with the Packers, I think they can beat everybody in the NFC with the exception of those top 2 teams.
Yeah, me too. But I do think, again, those 3 teams are going to make it to the playoffs because I do think that right now we've been established in the NFL enough. These teams have built up enough pad for themselves. So even if they do end up losing a game or 2, again, like I said, the rankings may change a little bit. The bracket may switch a little bit around, but I do think that they're still going to make it up in that top 7.
Who do you have coming out of the AFC?
In the AFC, I really do think that it is a competition between the Chiefs and the Bills. I think that doesn't come across as any surprise. But again, the Bills do have a much easier schedule going into this next few weeks. Now they've got the Rams, the Lions, the Patriots, the Jets, and other than meeting the Detroit Lions in Week 16 and meeting a mediocre LA Rams team this week, I do think that with their overall performance that they've shown so far, they're going to come up on top. The Chiefs, on the other hand, do have a harder schedule. Other than the Cleveland Browns, all of the other teams that they're playing are within the top, have a record of about 500 or more, and they've barely scraped by in some of their games. I think their luck may end up running out soon.
All right, that'll do it for this week's NFL playoff predictions. We're going to toss it to the outro.
Thank you for watching another episode of Good Morning Sports Fans. I'm Cameron.
I'm Thomas. We'll see you next week.